The next M-House rankings won't be out until June of this year. There's been a bunch of discussion as of late about rankings because of all the players and tournaments that have happened since the previous rankings in December of 2022. So this video is going to serve as a mid-season check-in where I'm going to be giving you both the statistics on each of the players and my own personal opinions about where each of the contenders should be ranked. It's fine. I'm going to be starting with the players that are in contention for top 5 in the server at this point in time. Skilled Roy, Snake, Ryan, June, and Item Hog. Now, the main 3 points that should be considered when ranking players to me are head-to-heads, worst losses, and how much they've attended. Now, since we're only 3 months in, there isn't really that big of an expectation for them to have attended a huge amount, but the minimum for the end of the season over the 6 month period is 4 events. Most of these players though already have their 4 locked in and are already like gonna be ranked when the season ends. So the first thing we're gonna look at is their worst losses in their attendance. As we can see here, Skilled Roy, 9 events attended, easily the most out of anyone else in this category in this top 5 range, with his worst loss being the Burger. Snake having no losses, Ryan's only loss being the Furball, and what is it Jund or June? Can you remind me actually real quick? June, 2 losses to Burger and Mossy, though none of these losses are to players that are like not really considered top 5. Like I feel like Burger, Mossy, and Furball could all be considered top 5 players, so I'm not really going to count these losses against them too much. The only real thing that I'm taking away from this is the fact that Item only has 2 tournaments attended, and he's definitely going to need to get that up if he's going to be able to get ranked later on. But also considering that he only has 2 tournaments, his losses are going to weigh a lot more to me than someone like Skilled Roy or Snake who have 9 and 5 tournaments respectively. Looking at the head-to-heads, we can see like, well, first off, Snake and Ryan are the 2 that have no like losses on the sheet, which is interesting to note, which kind of makes me like, considering this and the fact that he has no bad losses, I would probably put Snake at number 1 just based off this right now. But his only loss, I mean, he has a loss to Skilled Roy, which shows that Skilled Roy could be like a kind of a bracket, you know, like an issue for him in bracket, maybe Ryan as well. But at least in comparison to June, Item, and Skilled Roy, who all have a losing head-to-head, Snake is definitely the most solid considering how much he's attended and the fact that he's played 3 of the people on the sheet. Ryan is kind of iffy to me because even though he has attended 4 tournaments, 2 of them he's dropped out after losing in winners, which does give me a lot of concern, and why I'm not super like jumping on his, you know, also having a lack of, you know, no losing head-to-heads. I hate it here. It's fine. Shut up. 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 It's fine. It's fine. It's fine. It's fine. No. It's fine. No. Okay. It's fine. I'm just gonna have to redo that whole part. It's fine. Anyways, so Ryan, super solid head-to-head, but he's only played 2 of the people in this range, and he's dropped out of 2 tournaments, so gonna need to kind of see more of him to kind of really get the feel of that. June, also a good head-to-head, good record because he only has 1 losing record, which is the Snake, who is, I think at this point I can say he's the best player out of these 5, with wins over Skilled Roy and Item Hog, and he's only had 3 tournaments, so that's pretty good for only having 3. Item kind of looking like the worst player here because he has no winning records and only 2 events, so it's kind of unfortunate. Although I will say about these 5, none of them have, you know, considering none of them have the losses outside of here, like it's not the worst, and he can definitely bring it back, like, you know, in the later half of the season. Skilled Roy also having losing records to everyone on this list except for Item, though he does have a win on Snake, which shows that like he has the potential, that he has the potential to kind of like go up or do better, and that is not like a hard roadblock for him. Now there is actually one extra thing I do want to look at for the top 5 specifically, and it's the tournaments that they've won, and just like their placements overall at tournaments that they all like have attended together. And when we look at it, we see, at least for Skilled Roy, a trend that his placements have actually decreased at each event that's had, you know, like a bunch of top 5 representatives who went from first at the Grim Reaper trials, which was, it is good to have a first place on your record, but his first only has item as the only other top 5 contender in attendance, so it kind of doesn't hit the same as Ryan's or Snake. Snake having 2, so you know, kind of easy again, you know, looking like the better player here. Ryan also has a first, but again, kind of hard to gauge because the other 2 tournaments that he did go to, you know, he did have to DQ out in losers. Juned, kind of consistent, 2nd and 4th, same placements as Item, 2nd and 4th. Both of them getting double eliminated at the tournaments that they got 2nd at. Item to Skilled Roy and June to Snake. But looking at all the data that we have here, I think it's safe to say that I would rank it Snake, June, Ryan, Skilled Roy, and then Item. Though Ryan and June are super interchangeable, and I could see Ryan going up more so than June. Just because of the way the sets went with June. He had a game 5 with Skilled Roy, and I think it was a close one with Item as well. Versus Ryan doesn't really have as much of an issue with those 2 players. It's more so just of his like attendance issue. If he gets that like in order, then he'll be good for the rest of the season. Right, so the 5 contenders we have for the 6 through 10 range are gonna be Reapernix, Schnibble, DST, Windy, and Narfi. And again, we're gonna start by looking at both their attendance and their worst losses. Schnibble being the only person here with no bad losses. Reaper having a loss to Ben K and TD, and Windy with the most losses, having losses to Burger, Soul, and Dark. Though we did say earlier that Burger is like a top 5 contender if he attends more, so you can kind of take that one off. Same for DSC, was a loss to Furball, who could also be a top 5 contender. We haven't seen enough of them yet to really know. So I'd say probably Schnibble and DST with probably the best records, and then Reaper and Narfi in second, only having well actually no, Narfi in second, then Reaper in second, because he has a Ben K loss, which is kind of concerning, but not too concerning. Pikachu's a weird matchup, and you know, and John's. And then Windy coming in last with the worst head-to-head records, with losses both to Soul and then the 10th ranked player Dark Nexus. Moving on though to the head-to-heads. None of these players, by the way, have wins on the players that are in the top 5, so don't even need to look at that. Looking at the head-to-heads versus each other though, Reaper, like, you know, clear like just domination over this kind of head-to-head, only having 1 loss to Schnibble. So he's clearly like kind of setting himself apart here. Potentially, like, if he can get, you know, start getting wins on players in that top 5 range, he could, you know, be you know, a potential top 5 contender, but we'll see. Schnibble kind of with, well, Schnibble and DST kind of coming in second with the second best kind of head-to-heads. Although Schnibble really only has the 1 win over Windy, and then just the Reaper head-to-head, which is kind of odd. I mean, it's not even like an attendance thing. He has 5 tournaments, so he just hasn't had the opportunity to play DST or Narfi, which would kind of help give a lot of clarity here. But not a terrible head-to-head, and again, he has no losses. So DST, kind of the only clean winning record he has is on Narfi, even with Windy. And then a 0-3 versus Reaper, kind of seems like a hard roadblock there. But I would say probably off of this, just head-to-heads, I'd probably say it goes Reaper, Schnibble, then DST. And then Windy and Narfi. Windy having no winning head-to-heads in this 6 to 10 range. Only the even record with DST. And then Narfi having the slight winning record on Windy, it's a 2-1. It's just kind of weird there because Narfi has. It's fine, shut up, because Narfi has no wins on DST, and then Windy has the even record. But I would still give it to to Narfi over Windy, just because Narfi has no no losses versus Windy having lost to Dark and Soul, so it shows kind of a consistency issue there. But yeah, for the 6 to 10 range, how I do it definitely Reaper into Schnibble, then DSC, then Narfi, then Windy. And then for our final bracket is going to be 11 through 15. And the players in contention for those spots are Steez, Codex, Power Hungry, EH27, and I Want to Be a Not Fail. I'm going to call I Want to Be a Not Fail Xavier for the duration of this video, for obvious reasons. But as you can see, they have no losses, so we're really only looking at their attendance here, and it's nothing special, to be honest. They all have around the same attendance, with Xavier coming in at last, only having 3 tournaments, versus everyone else having 4 to 6. And then we have their head-to-heads here again. You can see one person kind of standing over the rest, with Steez having a winning record on every player here except for I Want to Be a Not Fail. So I think he gets the easy first for me, or like easy 11th spot, whatever you want to call it. Codex also kind of having a good-ish record with a win on EH27 and then even with Xavier. Power Hungry only unfortunately has played Steez despite having so much attendance, so it's kind of hard to gauge where he is, unfortunately, because he only has the one head-to-head. Looking at EH27 and Xavier, one thing I add that actually is to note is that EH27 does actually have a win on a ranked player, Dark Nexus, that couldn't be included here just because Dark Nexus has no results against anyone else in this bracket. But I think that win is important and should be noted when considering his head-to-head, so I'd actually put it EH27 above Power Hungry and I Want to Be a Not Fail. I Want to Be a Not Fail probably almost has the worst record here, but the Codex win kinda maybe bumps him up against Power Hungry. But I would still put Power Hungry above Xavier just because he has way better attendance over a shorter period of time, with 6 tournaments and Xavier's 3. So how I do the 11 through 15 is Steez, Codex, EH27, Power Hungry, and then I Want to Be a Not Fail. And then that's your MHPR top 15 for the middle of the season.